Podfather, man, your squad, they swept the Pacers, and they did it the last two games with Tyrese. What's that? Well, Tyrese got hurt in the last game, I guess, but he was out game 4. And, even though the Celtics swept the Pacers, the series was a lot closer than the sweep might indicate. But Jaevon, you are the Celtics expert here, so if you and Mako could let me know, just what are your thoughts going through your head as the Celtics make it back to another NBA Finals?
Time flies back. I mean, just a week ago, we were just entering the series. Everybody was saying, "Oh, the Celtics are going to lose in 6 games to the Pacers and 7 games."
Who's saying this?
The Pacers are going to lose.
I think that was Kevin.
Okay, just making sure, man.
Jaylen Brown and Jason, they can't get back to the finals. And then, and then I come on, I'm like, yeah, guys, the Celtics are going to win 5 games. I mean, it should be easy. Like, there's no way that this Pacers team is going to have a chance in hell to really compete with the Celtics. I mean, I saw, the Pacers were scrappy. In game 1, they were winning, and then, it was pretty much the same thing happened in almost every game of the series. Pacers are up late, can climb all the way up to at least almost a double-digit lead. They piss down their leg, and all of a sudden the Celtics are tied. They're tied up with like a minute left or like 4 minutes left. The game goes into overtime. Jaylen Brown hits the tying 3, which seems like an eon ago, which was only like a couple of days ago that Jaylen Brown hit that game. It was about a week ago that Jaylen Brown hit that tying 3 to go into overtime. And then, the rest was history after that. Jaylen, and people were talking about Jason Tatum. He's not aggressive enough. He has 2 near 40-point games in the series. Jaylen Brown, the same thing. JB had a 40-point game. I think he averaged about 29 for the series. Who was the Larry Bird conference finals player or MVP or whatever the new? I'm getting used to the new trophies or whatever it is.
Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
There we go. And Jason, you could have gave it to either Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. It really doesn't matter. Both of those guys.
Give it to?
You could have even
that
Drew Holiday.
Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
Jaylen Brown got it. Sorry to cut you off, Toddy. Apparently, it was a 5-4 vote. Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum. But go ahead, Toddy.
That's fine. A lot of people are going to say Jason Tatum didn't get the job. He's not the conference finals MVP. We're in the finals. We swept the Pacers.
He's got a finals MVP to go win.
I mean, all I could really ask for right now is the Timberwolves win tomorrow. Gives us a little bit more days of rest. Extend that series as much as possible, but man, the Kevin curse. Yes, this is another thing that happened in the group chat. I'm referring to last week's pod as, I even picked the Wolves to win in 7 games. That was me. I picked the Wolves to win. But then, things change over time. Things for sure change over time. And, when you're handed new data, things have to adjust. So, especially with this series, as I already said, with the Pacers being able to win at least a game at home, a lot of variables go into that. And you would think that Tyrese Halliburton would play the majority of the series. Him being out kind of, changed a bunch of things. But Andrew Nembhard was a guy that really stepped up in his place. A lot of people were going to say, oh, Andrew Nembhard, let's watch out for him. Pump the brakes on him. 2-game sample size, but he did play his ass off in those 2 games for sure. But now it's like, okay, Celtics are back in the finals, second finals in 3 years. And a lot of people don't know that Kristaps Porzingis, the old unicorn, is coming back for the finals, baby. And, a lot of people were saying, oh, they're going to need Porzingis to get past Cleveland, beat Cleveland in 5. They're going to need Porzingis for the old Indiana Pacers. They can't stop them without him.
I don't know who the hell you copying, Bond, but no.
So, I mean, I don't know what – a lot of people are going to say, well, this is the easiest finals run of all time and this, that, and this. Injuries are a part of the game, fellas. A lot of things have to go right. Not everything is perfect. I'm sorry that you guys want everything to be perfect. And that is just the way that the coral crumbles. In the words of Sandy Cheeks would say on football. But you got to take what you can get. And that's what we got. We were this is the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry that Boston plays on the East Coast. I'm sorry that Joel Embiid got hurt. I'm sorry that Jalen Brunson broke his hand in Game 7. I don't know if that would have played much of a factor of them not breaking his hand. They probably still would have lost because they were getting blown out in that game. I'm sorry that the Magic couldn't beat the Cavs in 7 games. Just a bunch of stuff just happened. I'm sorry Damian Lillard got hurt and Giannis Antetokounmpo couldn't play, and just a bunch of things didn't go right for them. And how is it that everyone's getting hurt? But the Celtics weren't healthy. They haven't played with Kristaps Porzingis the whole playoffs. So he played a couple of games in the past series, but he basically didn't play the majority of the playoffs. And I'm sorry that we drafted Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to this team. I'm sorry we traded for Derek White. I'm sorry we got Drew Holiday on our team. And I'm sorry. We're just better. We're just better than everybody. I'm sorry. I don't know what you want me to say. Like, we're back in the finals. We got to win 4 more games, and the likely opponent on the other side is arguably the greatest player in the world right now, and couldn't be more excited to suit him up. So it's prolonged that Dallas is going to win this series, hopefully in 6 games to give us a couple more days. Just chill out. Wes, I'm rooting for you. Don't
Wes. Get rusty now.
But we'll be watching. We'll be watching this series closely.
Jaevon's rooting for you, Wes. I'm honestly really glad that Jaylen Brown won Eastern Conference MVP, the Larry Bird MVP, because, Gary, that shot in Game 1 basically shifted the entire series. Because Indiana, if they steal Game 1, okay, maybe Tyrese Halliburton still deals with a hamstring injury, but if they win Game 1, then they take home court, they take momentum, they go back to Indianapolis, and they probably get at least 1. And then instead of this series being a sweep, we're split 2-2. And, Celtics probably should be favored at that point, but it's a toss-up at that point. It's a best of 3. And so I'm really glad that Jaylen Brown won the Finals MVP. He performed well throughout the series. I think he averaged like 30 points a game. And so Jason Tatum was kind of hit or miss, especially in Game 3, where in Game 3 he had like 6 points going into the fourth quarter. Then he bumped up that stat line with like 10, 15 points in the fourth. And of course, just like we love having, and just like we love having in Sacramento with De'Aaron Fox going crazy in the fourth quarter, like, yeah, it's nice that Tatum's doing that, but he also needs to have more than 6 points going into the fourth quarter. But anyways, I was glad to see Jaylen Brown win Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. But as Toddy said last week, I guess Jaylen Brown was snubbed for the All-NBA team, so this is an accolade he can add to the resume. One thing I wanted to add, Gary, before we get your thoughts on this series, is that in Game 4 tonight, the Pacers did not score in the final 3 minutes and 33 seconds of the game. 3-3-3, take that as you will. Joe Mazzulla is the youngest coach to make the NBA Finals since Bill Russell did so in 1969 at age 35. Bill Russell was 35. Joe Mazzulla is currently 35. Al Horford is third most all time. Fuck you, Al. That's for Matthew. But Al Horford is the third most all time. Gary, I'm not you. I'll be able to say it. I'll say it for Matthew. But Al Horford has 181 career playoff games without winning an NBA championship, which is the third most all time. Kevin's not here, so this can't be a Shaun's Pop Quiz question. Guys, if Al Horford, they showed the graphic. Gary, you might have missed it because you were driving home, but they showed the graphic during the Eastern Conference Trophy presentation. Any guesses who the first and second most all-time are in playoff games without a championship?
That's pretty good. Charles Barkley?
Ooh, that's a good guess, but that's incorrect. Al Horford has more playoff games than Charles Barkley.
JJ Redick.
Nope.
Because I know he went to the playoffs for like 16 years straight or something like that, 15 years.
It is not. It's not that. Yeah, JJ Redick made it to the playoffs basically every year his NBA career. That is correct, Gary. Jaevon, to answer your question, no, it's not that recent, but I'm just gonna say
90s or 80s. Real quick. Give us one more hint.
90s.
90s.
Both of these players
Play for the
in the
Knicks.
90s.
What's his name? Patrick Ewing.
No, that is incorrect.
Reggie Miller? No, they went to the finals. No, but they didn't win though.
Who did Michael Jordan beat twice in the finals in back-to-back years?
Oh, John Stockton and
Karl Malone.
John Stockton and Karl Malone are the only players in NBA history that have more career playoff games without an NBA championship other than Al Horford. And so I just wanted to mention, right? I just wanted to mention all those stats. Again, fuck you, Al. Hope you don't win. But Gary, just what did you think of this series? You missed the back.
I'm missing something big time.
That
guy's a nice guy.
He probably is a very nice guy. I explained. I forgot that you weren't here the last week because you had to work. I explained this backstory last week on last week's pod, but I'll just say it real quickly. That our guy Matthew Pearson, who we were on the State Hornet with, Sac State. Matthew Pearson, obviously huge 76ers fan. Matthew Pearson, not a fan of Al Horford because Al Horford left the Celtics, went to Philadelphia, got paid. The 76ers could not find a way to make it work with Al Horford, but the 76ers signed him. Yeah, and then he went back to Boston. So basically, he went to Philadelphia, took all the money, didn't work at all, then went right back to Boston. That's why Matthew says, fuck you, Al, anytime that Matthew Pearson ever hears Al Horford's name, that's what he says. So I'm just being a good friend and supporting Matthew. Anyways, Celtics sweep the Pacers, Gary. What were your thoughts on this series?
Congratulations to Boston Celtics. I might not pick them today, Vaughn, but I did pick them to win this series. And so they handle business. You got to give Indiana credit. They tried hard for surely, with obviously Tyrese Haliburton missing 2 games, 3 games down to the wire.